FBA fees climbing, I'm losing my grip. Storage costs rising, they'll never let me skip. Refunds I'm eating, returns pile up too. Oh, Amazon, what else will you do? I look at my dashboard, my profits erased. My margins are gone, it's a slap in the face. Prime Day's a promise, but it's such a race. How much will I make if I'm replaced? It's a cruel, cruel number. Fees keep climbing, profits torn asunder. Oh, it's cruel. The sellers wonder how to survive when the margins go under. It's a cruel, cruel number. Every month it's something new to plunder. Oh, it's cruel. It's no wonder we're stuck in this game. The algorithm's thunder.
Yo, Amazon's back, and they got a new scheme. Reimbursement slashed, it's every seller's dream. They're digging deep, taking more from the pot. Let's break it all down, expose what they got. March 25, it's a policy drop. They say manufacturing costs, but we know it's a flop. Give us your cogs, they're demanding the price. But if you don't, they'll estimate nice. Nice for them, not for you. Watch a payout shrink. That comprehensive evil is a corporate wing. Lost in the warehouse, damaged on the floor. Now they pay you pennies, not a cent more. Fees on the rise, profits on the run. They don't lift a finger, but they pocket the fun. We're fair! They shout while they cut our shares. Amazon math, man, it's full of errors. Fees, taking our dough. They're stacking the deck, and it's sellers who owe. Reimbursements? Nah, they're taking us down, but we're still here, we don't mess around. Fees, straight to the top. Amazon's game, it'll never stop. Margins tight, but we keep the grind. Sellers unite, we're one of a kind.
I try to sell my product on Amazon, thought it'd be a breeze. But little did I know I'd be stuck with seller support disease. They never seem to solve my problems, just give me the runaround. I'm tired of waiting on hold. My patience is wearing thin, I'll never be found. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck. Can't get no satisfaction. I'm out of luck, out of luck, out of luck. You don't care about my business, just trying to make a buck. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck.
This one's for the sellers on the grind, getting left on red, wasting all their time. I hit up support, got an auto reply. Thanks for your patience, man, I wanna cry. Inventory lost, my margins are toast. Reps playing tag like the Casper the Ghost. They pass me around, it's a never-ending game. Nobody takes action, everybody shifts blame. My ASIN's down, I'm out of the race. They say they'll escalate, yo, what a disgrace. Amazon seller support, you're breaking my heart. No answers, no fixes, just tearing me apart. Hours in the queue, stuck in the dark. Amazon seller support, you're missing the mark.
Amazon game plan, that is the key. Seller central dashboard, that's where I be. Analyze the funnel, see what we lack, then we optimize. Sellers know it's a fact. I get it poppin', you know that it's lit. Climbing the rankings, ain't no room to quit. I check the data, they notice the stats. I keep the method, that's how you adapt. Metrics are showing, you know it's our cap. Amazon sellers, it's time to react. I'm about that action, I do this with passion. I got them like, whoa, what is this? Huh, whoa.
I don't know, dude. I think everybody's just buying stuff based on reviews and badges or whatever. They don't even know who we are. These customers don't even know the name of my brand, but they keep clicking add to cart like it's part of the plan. They see that Amazon badge and think it's all grand, but yo, they don't even know the name of my brand.
Click, scroll, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live for Seller Day. Now listen up, I'm Steven Pope. Amazon guru, I'll help you cope. Step 1, get that trademark stamped. Without brand registry, your Amazon cramped. Head to Seller Central, log in quick. Manage stores tab, yeah, that's the trick. Upload your logo, flex that style. You're about to make Jeff Bezos smile. Where pick a template, marquee or grid. Drop your tiles like a branding whiz. Hero image, big and bold. This store's gonna glitter like digital gold. Scroll, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell today. Yo. In the trenches of the Amazon game, trying to survive while it's driving me insane. Nobody warns you, they just claim it's passive income. Nah, it's pain. I'm sitting at a birthday, laughing, chilling, next to a newbie Amazon seller spilling. She's like, Prime so smooth, it's a killer. Then tried to sell, now she's stuck in a thriller. Finding products, yeah, that's the first grind. Scrolling Alibaba, losing my mind. Sample suck, manufacturers decline. I'm like, dang, how's anyone doing this fine? Ship it in, pay for the bubble wrap, but they ship glass bottles in padded crap. Now I got hot sauce leaks, refund stacked, customers pissed. Man, I'm under attack. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat. Trademark wars, brand registry's a scam. They banned my brand, now I'm in a jam. Listings yanked, products ranked and tanked. Lost dogs in the catalog, my account shanked. Now let's talk ads, it's a rabbit hole. 1,000 hours deep, man, it's taking my soul. Weekly negations, bulk sheets for control. Excel's my new weapon, but it's taking its toll. SEO's no joke, keywords in the game. Alt text, A+ content, playing insane. Lifestyle shots, avatars for fame, but the CTR's low, all products look the same. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, from SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat.
Let's go to Mac School. To Mac School. Class is now in session with Professor Pope. They got the SOP, cause Professor Pope wrote the recipe, helping Amazon sellers grow sales exponentially. Amazon's a jungle, but we map the strategy. Brand strategist playbook, it's a guide to victory. Troubleshooting catalogs, you know we got the answer key. Boosting all your rankings, turning sales into a legacy. SOB so deep, you think we studied at Mac School. Every step we follow leads to growth, yeah, it's a golden rule. Stuck on keywords, we'll find the ones that work the best. Using Helium 10, strike distance keywords pass the test. Incremental indexing ensures the listing set to rise. From the back end to the bullets, optimization hits the skies. Brand store creation, yeah, we make it shine and flow. A+ content design makes conversions overflow. Need your images on point, best practices in the plan. Alt text and photo rules ensure your visuals command. SEO meets PPC, it's balanced, every step aligned. We'll construct the MKLs that drive rankings over time. Budget caps and bid adjustments, no more wasted spending. Segmentation builds campaigns that sellers can defend. Got a hijacker, no problem, we'll file to take them down. Review request in action, 5-star ratings come around. Flat file updates, market share reports, it's all in reach. Professor Pope wrote the SOP so sellers learn and teach.
Meanwhile, my Amazon guys on the case, fixing up my problems at lightning pace. Ticket escalations, Mag's the boss. Even Amazon says we'll take the loss. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. They're supposed to be the pros, but they can't decode policies and tools from their own damn road. I'm paying fees, yet they bring me stress. But Mag turns my chaos into pure success. Seller support reps, they throwing shade, but then admit, yo, Mag will get you paid. Third-party agency taking the throne while Amazon fumbles in their own damn zone. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. So here's the truth, let's keep it real. Mag's the team with the pro-level skill. Amazon sellers, you know the vibe when support says call Mag. They'll give you peace of mind. Amazon seller support, you can suck my image stack. Sucking is all you're good at anyway. Bezos, hit me up if you want to sell seller support. I'm buying. There's a Jace. Peace.
Hello and welcome. We're going to be talking about all things pay-per-click advertising and Amazon to help you scale your business and go to all new levels. My name is Kevin Sanderson. I am the marketing and partnerships guy here at My Amazon Guy. In addition to that, I have also been a seller myself for over 10, almost 11 years. I just did the math there for a second. But anyway, we're going to be answering your questions about PPC. We already have questions coming in. So I just want to make sure real quick, is this thing on? Just if you don't mind, put in the comments, yes, I can hear you. And then also, let's do a little bit of a question and answer. So yes, I'll be taking your questions and giving you answers. But let's also have a little fun with this. So right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is not a question I've asked for. Sometimes like use an emoji or one word. No, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being the best it could possibly be, where do you think you are with the results from your ads as of right now? Closer to 1, terrible, closer to 10, amazing. So if you don't mind, just put that in the chat. And the thing of it is, there are no right or wrong answers. We're just trying to have some fun here, learn together. I just want to get a sense of where everyone is at. So looks like somebody put a crying emoji. Crying emoji is great. 1 to 10, scale of 1 to 10. Got to be crystal clear. Where are you today? 10 being it's the best it could possibly be. 1 being I can't see it being any possibly worse. So just put that into the chat. And then as far as my sound, Cala Fashion says yes. So thank you, Cala Fashion. For Ventus says loud and clear. Thank you for that. So appreciate that. So also on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see your results from your ads? 1 is terrible. 10 is the best it could possibly be. Let me know in the chat, in the comments. And you never know. Sometimes they reward participation, but that doesn't mean everybody gets a participation award. Only when I completely arbitrarily decide to give somebody a participation award. So, all right. So for Ventus says 10, which is amazing. So it sounds like things are going very well for you. Glad to hear that. Cala Fashion says 4. Crazy Fun 1818 says 3. For FBA, we're at 6. For PPC, we're at a 4. Okay, so your organic sales, maybe you're an 8. Because if your PPC is a 4 and you're giving yourself overall a 6, it sounds to me like maybe it's averaging out not so well on the PPC side. So hopefully we can help you with your PPC today. So, all right. So thank you everybody for participating. Sometimes I give away participation for that. And we might do some sort of participation later on. Sizzles by Hannah says terrible. That's not a number, so I'm guessing that's a 1. So sorry to hear that. So hopefully we can at least start edging you towards 10, get you closer to a good number there. So do you think AI will take the Amazon PPC jobs? Start getting into some questions. If you have questions, drop them into the chat and we'll answer them. So AI will replace people who are mediocre in general at a lot of things. Just like the plow replaced a lot of farmers. Farming equipment replaced a lot of farmers. Industrialization replaced people that would have just, only used their hands, but they still needed people to do stuff. So one of the ways to look at it is with your if you have like, let's say, a PPC job or any sort of job in a knowledge base, are you able to think strategically? Are you able to set the frame, so to speak, set the direction, or are you totally just responding and reacting? AI is going to get better as time goes on. It's not 100% there. We're finding AI is getting a lot better. We just recently rolled out Mag AI, which check out the video on this page if you want to learn more about it. But there's definitely a lot moving with AI right now, but I would not worry unless you're just, if all you're doing is regurgitating what you read in a blog post, it's going to eat your lunch. If you're able to look at it as a force multiplier, as people say, meaning you can get more done, you're going to do well. As long as you have the knowledge and the know-how and are able to achieve results, and it helps you achieve results for other people. Because as we all know, if you just walked up to AI, started typing in AI and just saying, make my ads better, it's not going to work. But if you ask it strategic questions, get better answers by asking better questions to the AI, then that's going to be helpful. All right, let's get into some other questions that people have. So someone mentioned here, Eric says organic is 6 to 7 year over year, is increasing by around 120%, which is amazing. Just are stuck with auto campaigns and haven't had the chance to dig into PPC. All right, if you're already getting sales getting increased by 120% and all you're doing is auto campaigns, now granted, I'm assuming you're probably getting a lot of organic sales too. You have a lot of room for improvement if you do things like manual campaigns, if you do sponsored displays, sponsored brands, possibly even at some point thinking about DSP, depending on where you're at and where your sales are. So Wasim says, a great learning oriented session by Kevin. Well, thank you. That's what we try to do here, is make this learning oriented so we can all learn together. So, all right, so let's start getting into some questions. If you have questions, best time to ask them is now, because it happens just about every week where I run out of time. And I don't want to run out of time at the end of the hour. I want to answer as many questions as possible. So if you have questions, drop them into the chat. All right, so here's the first question coming up. What total budget do you recommend to launch one private label product on Amazon, including inventory, PPC, shipping, listing, and all other expenses? Well, you're going to get used to a phrase in this business. It depends. So it depends on a lot of factors. If you said, hey, I've got I don't even know what the latest fad supplement is. Let's just say vitamin C. I don't know. I've got a vitamin C supplement. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very expensive to launch. It's going to be really hard. The reality is all niches are saturated. All niches have a lot of people in them. So you have to look at a few different factors. One, how competitive, like more like how ultra competitive is the niche. So like supplements or anything where there's a chance that people would continue buying, like a supplement, you're going to have extra competition because people are trying to buy the market, because they're not just trying to buy, or they're not just trying to get like one transaction. They're trying to get multiple transactions for a lifetime value of a customer. Now that might take them 5 to 6 months to get the full lifetime value of the customer. So there's a lot to think about there. Now, other things you may want to think about looks like I took that down. When you talk about inventory, well, it's going to depend. Are you selling couches? Are you selling furniture? Something, you're selling something that's more expensive, or are you selling HDMI cables? So if you're selling HDMI cables, it's like you'd be lucky to get $9 for one of them. And your inventory might cost you a couple dollars, something like that. So one, what is the product itself cost you per unit? Is it going to cost you a couple dollars or a couple $100 per unit? How many units do you need? And so what is the sales potential? And don't just look at like whatever the top one is in your category and just assume you're going to come out of the gate swinging and be at the same level of sales, because oftentimes they've had a lot of brand equity in their product. The algorithm has learned their product over time. They oftentimes have repeat purchases. They really optimized it. They probably have a lot of reviews. So look at more who's kind of maybe 6 to 24 months in and maybe has no more than a couple hundred reviews. How are those products doing? And then maybe use those as your benchmark, where maybe they're doing 8 to 10 sales a day. So if they're doing 8 to 10 sales a day, how long is it going to take you to get more product in? So if you have, let's say, a 60 to 90 day lead time, you're going to need not just 60 to 90 days worth of product, you're going to need maybe 6 months of product. So how much is that going to cost? Now, are you also looking at things like doing influencer marketing? If you're doing influencer marketing, you're probably going to have to at least give away some product. And not everybody who takes a product is necessarily going to record a video for you, but it's part of the process. You just got to get it out there. And so inventory is going to be a big expense. PPC is going to be a little bit more expensive in the beginning. Like your tacos might be 30, 40% in the beginning, maybe less, maybe more. But especially when you're first starting out, you're not going to get a lot of organic placements. You're going to have to buy yourself a ticket to the front of the line, so to speak, by running ads. So that's something to keep in mind there. And then as far as shipping, a lot of that, again, depends. How big is the product? So if you're selling a product, try to, as much as possible, make it small. So an example, the other day, I bought a pan and broom. And it wasn't like a pan and broom, like just like a little handheld pan that you sweep into. It was like the kind that had like a handle and like the broom itself. I haven't taken it out of the packaging yet, but the packaging was only yay big. So it's not super long, which that would be oversized. So how can you minimize the size of your product so that you have, one, lower FBA fees, two, the cost to ship it to you, whether you're buying it from a US supplier or from China or from India or wherever you're buying your product from, the more compact it is, the less it's going to cost you in shipping. So all things to think about, and all the other expenses. It's a whole big, it depends. So hopefully I at least gave you some food for thought to think about. There are tools out there that can help you with that. Helium 10, for example, oftentimes it'll give you like estimates and things of that nature for, inventory costs, because you're going to have inventory costs at Amazon. So there's just a lot of costs involved, but you're at least asking the right question going into it. So I'll give you kudos for that. All right, next up. Abdullah Khan says, my question is, what automatic tools for Amazon PPC? Excuse me. I would say learn bulk files. Maybe you want to run a macro or something like that, but I would say you don't necessarily want to run automatic tools at this point. Then Abdullah Khan says, mostly client have a budget of $10 to $20. They want profitable. What is strategy? I'm going to ask you this. If you have a client, which is great, what strategies are you currently using? And then maybe we can work forward or work together to refine those, because there's a million different ways we could go with that answer. So I want to help you as best as I can. So I want to give a specific answer. So I'm assuming you probably had something in mind when you took on this client. So what is your current strategy? All right. Next up, we got lots of questions coming. Oh yeah, lots of questions. You guys are asking good questions. All right. All right. So we're going to get to all those questions. So if anyone's just joined the stream, best thing to do is, if you want your question answered, ask it now, because I've got a lot of questions already queued up. And as time goes on in this stream, people ask more questions. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, X, Instagram, whoever else. There's a whole bunch I see at the top there. They all bring in lots more people as the stream goes on. More people come in, they ask their questions. Those even that maybe have been kind of just casually watching since the beginning, as the stream goes on, they think of like, oh, that reminds me of a question. So one person's question often triggers another question in someone else. So next up, Fiduci says, what product categories worked best on Amazon? Well, I'll put it to you this way. So at MAG, we try to avoid books. Books is just hard. It's not even necessarily like an FBA thing, but we tend to avoid books. We tend to find categories that do work well, like kitchen, home, toys, supplements, which is health and beauty, beauty related products. Now, the thing to keep in mind, as I was mentioning before, is if you're asking this question and you're looking for, what to get started on Amazon, it's going to depend a lot more on your goals. And just know that certain categories like beauty, like pets, like supplements tend to be more competitive. And oftentimes it's because people are coming back and purchasing that product multiple times. If you have a one-time type product, like I'm just looking around on my desk for a good example. Bluetooth headphones. Yeah, these things never last more than like a year or so. So maybe I'd go back and buy another one. But if it doesn't work well, probably not going to go back and buy it from that same company again. So if you have a product that people intentionally are consuming because, they run out of trash bags, run out of poop bags, they run out of supplements, they run out of vitamins, they run out of hair gel, or whatever it is you're selling, then you're going to have a situation where if people like the product, they're going to keep coming back over and over again. Those type of products with recurring purchases tend to be more competitive. So just keep that in mind. And then as far as what products work best on Amazon, you also want to think through like the level of complexity for certain products. And do you want to get involved with that? So like, for example, automotive. If you're selling maybe a roadside kit or a first aid kit for your car, those might be a little simpler, or a air compressor, a little bit more complexity, or a tire patch kit. Maybe that's not too complex, but something that's not too complex, that is semi-universal, that would be great. Now, if you said, I'm going to sell something for 2010 to 2013 Honda Accords, I don't even know if that's a range that makes sense, but something like that, it's going to be a lot harder because now you got to focus on fitment and stuff like that. So now you're talking about more complexity, more niche, and there's probably big players in that space. So just look and see the other brands that you've been competing with. Are they all brands you've heard of? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but just know that oftentimes if there's established brands, sometimes they take a little bit of preference in some categories, and some it doesn't matter. So just things to keep in mind. All right, next up, Eric's asks, speaking of AI, what's your opinion on Amazon's AI recommendations for titles, descriptions, bullets, etc.? Yeah, so it's worth at least taking a look at and seeing what they're suggesting, but just keep in mind, like, it's almost like you're using their AI to feed their algorithm, So you still have to create a little bit of extra value on top of the AI. So the AI might give you ideas, but you still want to make sure that, are all the keywords you want in there. They're oftentimes just wanting to make it a certain way for the customer experience, and maybe that's how their AI is coming up with the answers. So a lot of that really just comes down to is, I don't know how much I would just hand over the keys to Amazon's own AI, because that's what's going to feed its algorithm, because that's not really its goal. The goal would be customer experience, not your discovery. So I would say, sure, take a look at it. And it probably has good data about what works and what doesn't. But you also want to include your own personal, not not spin, but your own value that you're adding to it. You know, how are you enhancing it? Maybe is the way to phrase it. So that's what I would think about. All right. If you have questions, drop them into the chat. We'll do our best to get to them between now and the end of the stream. We've got quite a few questions that are already starting to queue up, so I want to be able to answer as many questions as possible. Wasim asks, should we get experience in marketing and sales before starting Amazon PPC? All right, so that's two very different skill sets. So as someone who has skill sets in both, I would like to argue, because I also do marketing here at My Amazon Guy. I like to consider myself a marketer. My company was acquired, Maximizing E-commerce, was acquired by My Amazon Guy because of my marketing skills. So I would say that's good. But then I also have, you know, my own business running my own PPC. So I've gotten to learn quite a bit about PPC over the years. So if you're a service provider and you're looking for how do I sell more clients, well, one, enhance both at the same time. Because if, let's say you get really good at sales and marketing, but if you can't do PPC or find the right people who can, all you're going to do is burn through your reputation if you're not able to deliver on at least a good effort. Now, you can't guarantee the results that people are going to get on the other side, but people can tell, like, is it an honest effort of like, okay, they tried this strategy, it was well thought out, maybe it just worked or it didn't work, versus people can kind of tell when they're just being BS'd. Like, oh, this person just took me on as a client and they're not doing anything of value. So people know that. So I would say work, if your goal is to sell PPC services, work on both your marketing and sales skills while also working on your PPC skills. Work on the two of them in tandem. It's not an if then, it's both and. All right, next up. We have Crazy Fun 1818 says, what total budget do you recommend to launch? Oh, I already answered that question earlier. And then Eric's 3070 says, yes, we also need to add A+ content on ASIN pages. I guess maybe that was in reference to, the AI that Amazon is recommending we use. So, yeah, so for your listings, you know, using A+ content. Now, they have recommendations for A+ content. Noah actually did Noah from our team. He recently did a video on that, and he found it to be pretty helpful. Like, you can't just, again, hand over the keys and the strategy to Amazon's AI and say, hey, build me a business. But it can at least give you some pointers, maybe some good ideas, some food for thought, and then you can test those things out. And so I would say, yeah, it's definitely probably worth testing out their recommendations. But if you don't have A+ content here at My Amazon Guy, we highly recommend that you do. And a couple things with A+ content that their AI probably won't recommend is, one, have crawlable text. So text that you can highlight with your mouse. It's not in the pictures, but is, you know, crawlable, because that text is going to be picked up by the algorithm for search. And then also for all the images you add, you can add up to 100 characters of alt text. And alt text is like, it's intended to like be a description of the picture, but we've found it's a good place to add keywords. And that's something you may want to think about, because that's a great way to get keywords that maybe you don't have anywhere else in the listing to add, like maybe Spanish or misspellings, or you just really want to, I don't know if I'd use the word stuff, but you want to make sure certain keywords are included. And if you don't have any other places to add them, and let's say you have 6 modules of A+ content, that's 600 characters between the 6 images that you can add them. Actually, some of the modules are multiple images. So that's, you know, if there's a three image module, that's theoretically 300 characters right there, 100, 100, 100 between the 3 images. So just something to think about. Next up, Why So Cute says, how do you calculate when to stop funding a losing product during launch? PPC is only traffic source. Okay, got it. So we're talking about the product here, not the not the keyword or the campaign. So this is a tough one. At the end of the day, I would say as long as you can at least close to break even, just run ads until you run out. Because you at least want to try to gain some of that back. And yes, you want to pay for your the cost of the product because you want to invest that into your next product. But sometimes if you just want to get rid of that product, there's a couple of things you could do. One, you could liquidate. Now Amazon will give you like, I want to say it's like 3 to 5%. Like it's basically nothing. And then they also take fees. So they will give you at least a little something to get rid of it, which saves you from the inventory fees and things of that nature. So if the product's completely not moving at all and you've at least had some sales, you may be able to use Amazon's liquidation service to get rid of some product. And then another thing you might want to think about too, depending on how aggressive you want to be, if you say your break-even ACOS is, let's say 35%, and you had a 25% cost of goods sold, you could theoretically run a 35% plus 25%, meaning a 60% ACOS and be break even because you kind of have already sort of written off the cost that you already put in to that product. Now you probably still want to have another product in the future. But when you say how to calculate when to stop funding a losing product during launch, if PPC is the only traffic source, how long has it been? Because if you've only been running this for a little while, it might not be time to close up shop just yet. Because depending on how long you've been launching, sometimes it just takes a long time. And the hard part is, when do you know, like, is this time to just cut my losses and move on? Or is this something where I can actually make a difference with this product and just give it time? And sometimes it takes time. So I would say, I wouldn't give up just yet, but maybe you have to be a little bit more conservative with your bidding strategy and your keyword strategy. So things to keep in mind there. So, all right. Follow up to that was, what's more important for scaling: increasing conversion rate from 12 to 15% or click-through rates from 0.4 to 0.7%? So it's an interesting question. So let's just say your conversion rate stays the same. So of every 100 people that visit, you still stay at 12 sales, which is pretty good. Now, if your click-through rate goes from 0.4 to 0.7%, it's not quite double. It's a 75%. I'm almost positive. It's a 75% increase in traffic. So theoretically, if you convert your now what was 100 clicks into now it's 175 clicks, and you still convert at 12%, you would be getting 21 sales instead of 12. Whereas if you went from 12 to 15%, and let's say you had 100 clicks, you'd go from 12 sales to 15. So you would have increased by 25%. So in the examples you gave, if the other variable stays consistent, improving your conversion rate from 12 to 15% is going to be harder actually than improving your click-through rate. And you'd only have a 25% bump in sales as opposed, or sorry, a 33% bump in sales as opposed to a 75% bump in sales. Kind of see, one is like double the increase, more than double the increase. So just something to think about there. All right. Next up, Abdullah says, my clients from Fiverr, Upwork, so they have daily budget ads, $10 to $20, and they want profitable. What strategy will you recommend? What strategy are you running? I'm more than happy to walk down that with you. Your follow-up question is, I am a high-level expert in Amazon PPC, but in DSP, I have zero on any hands-on you are offering. DSP, you either one have to be like an approved agency that has a portfolio of clients spending up to a certain amount, or there's software tools now, I think, that will let you do DSP with them. So things to think about. I would say in most cases, if you're talking about clients with $10 to $20 budgets, DSP is not going to help them. DSP is way far up the funnel, whereas a $10 to $20 a day budget is, in a lot of niches, going to be pretty light. So you're going to have to really focus on targeted longer tail keywords. You're not trying to maximize all the availability of all the possible impressions you could get, because they're probably still finding their way if they're doing $10 to $20. All right. If you have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. Crazy Fun 1818 says, why does top of search ACOS jump from 30 to 100% week to week at the same $1.80 cost per click in a single exact keyword? Competitors, prices, same in that time period. What's the cause? Good question. It's hard to say. When you say jump from 30 to 100%, like, is this like getting 100 sales a week, or is this campaign getting 5 sales a week? So if you 1 week get like 8 sales and the next week you only get 5, but you're spending the same amount, that could be a big difference in ACOS. When you say $1.80 cost per click, is that $1.80 cost per click how much you paid after accounting for the top of search modifier? And then sometimes just Amazon's algorithm is different from week to week. Like, it's testing out different things. Maybe your product is still a little new. It's testing out to see how it works compared to other products. It could also just be that maybe it's just seasonal. Maybe your competitors are having the same issues. For example, if it's cold in a good chunk of the country and you're selling beachwear or something, I don't know, just use an example here, that would have a big difference on what the weather is like in most of the country. Now, maybe in Florida, it's still warm. Maybe in California, it's still warm. Maybe South Texas is still warm. But the rest of the country now is going through a cold spell, which I don't remember if they were or not. I live in South Florida. We're nice and warm here. Our cold spell was like, went down to like 40 for like a day. So those are things to keep in mind. Like, what else is happening? Because, nothing is in a vacuum. Everything is sometimes, varied by something else. Also, sometimes there's things that happen that are completely outside of your control. Sometimes there's like a TikTok trend about a particular product, and people are searching and they're finding that particular product is doing, it may not just be that product. It's like a type of product, and maybe your type of product suddenly is like in vogue with a niche community, and all of a sudden everybody's searching for it. And so it did really well 1 week, and then the next week you have lower intent buyers. Or sometimes when something goes viral, you actually have a bunch of low intent buyers and people just clicking on it. So there's a variety of reasons why sometimes it can change from 1 week to the next. I wouldn't worry so much about the top of search. I would focus more on the keyword level. Like, at the keyword level, which keywords are performing and which ones aren't. And maybe all of a sudden you started spending on a keyword that you weren't spending on before, and that's just not converting as well. Because I have found oftentimes if you want to spend money and there's impressions available, Amazon will allow you to spend the money. And so if they somehow find like, oh, this product is relevant to this keyword and it's good click-through rate, and now Amazon's getting money from the clicks and there are some sales, So it's at least some buyer relevancy. All of a sudden, you might find it goes up in clicks, but it might come back down because the algorithm decides not to. And sometimes they're running like little tests. Sometimes the algorithm just on its own decides to run little tests. So it's very hard to say. But wishing you well with that. All right, Sizzle by Highness says, do we run auto campaigns and manual campaigns both at the same time? Yes. And one of our sayings here is never negate a good keyword. So just to clarify this isn't what you asked, but I'm going to give you a little bonus tip here. When you're running an auto campaign and let's say you have a search term and it's doing well, and you also have that same search term as a keyword that you're targeting in the manual, leave it in both. Let it do well. You want it to do as well as possible in both. There's no sense turning it off in one and all of a sudden you're losing out. You're thinking you're going to put all those impressions in the other campaign. Wherever it's getting the sales, just let it get the sales. Amazon's algorithm has history behind certain keywords and search terms in its algorithm in one campaign versus the other. So sometimes it's counterintuitive which ones will get the sales, but if you're getting the sales, just let the sales come in. All right, next up, from Instagram, Ishtiak Zig says, how much PPC budget is best to get started? Note, I have my Amazon Guy SOP subscription. Great. Just need to know how much PPC budget is best to get started with one product. Some of that just depends on, here's that word again, depends. It depends on, the product itself and how much are you willing to spend. The thing to keep in mind with budgets compared to like budgets on like, say, Facebook or Google is on those others, they will find impressions. They will find CPMs for you. They will find ways to spend your money. Whereas at least with sponsored products or sponsored brands or anything where it's search related, if it's search related, if there's not enough people searching for your product, you might say my budget's $500 a day, but you might not spend $500 a day. You might spend 20. The way to look at a budget is really more as a guardrail that I don't want to spend more than X amount, because you don't want to end up with like, oh my gosh, it's allowing me to spend $500 a day because there's a lot of people searching for whatever that keyword is. So one way to look at it is like, how many sales are you looking to get from ads? And then how many clicks would you need to get a sale? So if you had a 10% conversion rate, you would need you would need 10 clicks. So 1 divided by conversion rate, so like 1 divided by 0.1, which is 10%, equals 10. So that's 10 clicks to get a sale. The other way you could also look at it, which helps because the 10 sometimes is confusing because it's too easy of math. But let's say you have an 8% conversion rate, or you're budgeting for an 8% conversion rate. 1 divided by 0.08 is 12 and a half, I think, at the top of my head, 12 or 13. Let's just say 12 or 13. So let's just say it takes you 13 clicks to get a sale. So that means you take, whether it's 10 clicks to get a sale, 13 clicks to get a sale, depending on what conversion rate you're expecting, times your anticipated cost per click, and that's going to be your cost per acquisition. So, or CAC, as they say, it's not an Amazon term, but people oftentimes will use cost to acquire a customer, or customer acquisition cost, CAC, CAC. So what is your customer acquisition cost? So that's how much it's going to cost you to get a sale. Then from there, how many sales a day are you looking to get? So you're expecting to get 5 times 5. So if it's going to take you, let's say, $8 to get a sale times 5, that means 40. Now, you might not necessarily spend 40, but that's that guardrail to prevent you from going over the cliff and spending too much. Because you might put in a $40 budget, but you might only spend 12, because maybe that's all that the impressions they're giving you. Now, maybe as time goes on, maybe you not prove yourself, but your product proves itself to the algorithm, and then the algorithm sees like, okay, it's performing, and it might give you more favorable placements. So if it's, closer to the top, it's going to be shown more, it's going to be clicked more. If it's on the bottom of page 4, you can hide all kinds of things on page 4 because nobody's clicking all the way over there. So but as time goes on, you get better placements, then you start to spend more because you have more impressions. More impressions lead to more clicks, and you're paying per click. So just keep in mind. All right, next up, Sizzle by Hina says, I learned Amazon PPC course from Mag, but still stuck between ACOS and tacos. What should I do? You mean like what's the difference? So basically think of it this: ACOS is just advertised cost of sale. So your ad costs divided by your ad sales. So let's say your ad costs were $300 and your ad sales were $100. Then basically you had a 30%. So 300 divided by 1,000 is 30% ACOS. Now let's say in that same example, you had spent that $300 in ad costs, but you also made not just the 1,000 in ad sales, but you have some organic sales as well. So you had, let's say, $1,500 in sales. So now that's your tacos, your total advertising cost of sales. So it's advertising spend divided by total sales for that time period. So in that example, let's say you had $1,500 in sales, so 300 divided by 1,500, that's going to be 20%. So you had a 20% tacos. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so I might still be able to get in some more questions. I'll do my best. So if you have questions, drop them into the chat now. Best time to ask is now, as opposed to at the end of the stream, which we are coming close to. We're about 19 minutes out from the end. Abdullah Khan says, I have a test on my client, 8-month, day 1. He's profitable, 4 campaigns, auto broad category ASIN $1 each campaign, and bids 36 cents up, down from day 1. He's profitable, 3 clients applied this. Sounds good. I mean, I guess this is the question about the $10 a day budget. I mean, if you're getting good results, that's great. $10 a day budget is pretty light. So if that's getting you the sales you're hoping for, then, keep it up. Valtinio says, what strategy can you recommend on very niche products like limited keywords such as watermelon perfume? How can I grow its conversion or impression on the right audience? So yes, so if you have, let's pull up Amazon just for fun. Watermelon perfume. Okay, so let's just pull up, oh, that didn't help yet, my screen. So let's just say you are testing out keywords for watermelon perfume. I've never heard of it. It sounds odd. But who am I to judge? So one thing you could do, just a basic thing, just go into Amazon, type in watermelon perfume, see what comes up. For women, oil, long lasting, spray, and lotion. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a brand name. For girls, oh yeah, probably Bath and Body Works. So you may want to think about that, is using like all of those keywords, even if it's Bath and Body Works. Now, I'm imagining you probably would do better if you did watermelon perfume. I've never heard of that company, so I'm assuming Bath and Body Works is a bigger name. There's probably more familiar with Bath and Body Works, so people specifically looking for it are probably more likely to buy it, but not necessarily everyone. But I would imagine your ACOS would probably be better on this brand that I've never heard of. Now, there could be people that are watermelon perfume aficionados who are like, "Oh no, that's the name brand." All right, so just something to think about there. I guess actually fairly popular. All right, who knew? There's a lot of options if you're looking for watermelon perfume. But then you may want to also look at like, okay, what are similar type products? So if you look at, let's just look at one of the competitors. Let's look at this one here. So watermelon perfume. Let's see what some of these other ones are. Okay, so you got vanilla, fruity, floral, Latafa candy, vanilla, fruity, citrus. Doesn't really say what that one is. Citrus, lavender. You may want to go after, I keep wanting to say flavors because it's watermelon and citrus and stuff like that, but like different scents that are maybe similar. Like you wouldn't go on like every perfume, but maybe the people that buy watermelon perfume might also buy citrus perfume. And let's just explore that here for a second. So let's say citrus perfume, get rid of that company. And let's not do Nautica. It's a name brand. Never heard of these people. So come down here. Perfume, fruity. It's probably fruity, Bath and Body Works. Okay, cucumber melon. So there's kind of an ecosystem of a bunch of different scents. So you could also advertise in the other scents. And if you have helium-10, and we've got videos on this channel that talk about creating a master keyword list, you can take a look at some of your competitors and see what keywords they're ranking on, both organically and paid. And that will at least point you in the right direction of keywords that might make sense. Because maybe people that buy watermelon also buy cucumber set, but they don't buy citrus sets. And so like over time, like those products just don't rank for citrus scents, but they do for cucumber scent. I don't know why that would make sense, but just trying to think of some examples there. So those are some things to think about. All right, next up, comment from Ishtiag. What are your thoughts on Data Dive tool compared with Helium-10? I'm a customer of MAG SOP. It only talks about Helium-10, not Data Dive. Not sure where. Yeah, so we like both. Internally, we have been using Helium-10 the most. So it's, I would say Data Dive is still, a good product. We think highly of them. We've tested it out. It seems to do well. It's just all of our workflows work with Helium-10. So that's why you probably see it if you're a SOP library customer. But you could try some of the same strategies. It just wouldn't be as much step-by-step follow the bouncing ball as what we have available for you in the SOP library. But you could take that same philosophy that we show for Helium-10 and apply that to Data Dive. It's just you'd have to, like, wherever you're clicking to do whatever, and it's not Cerebro, it's something else in Data Dive. So whatever interfaces they use are going to be a little bit different, but you could still use that same general philosophy on Data Dive. All right, next up we have Why So Cute. Says, if a keyword generates 60% of my total sales, but ACOS is 33%, target is 25%, do you trim bids or protect volume? Good question. So your keyword gets 60% of total sales. Oh, it's a keyword, but the ACOS is 33%. Yeah, I probably wouldn't cut it. If you're talking about a single keyword, not like all of your ads, 33% is actually pretty good. You got to think, as much as we're paying per click, in essence, we're paying per impression. Amazon doesn't phrase it that way. We're not charged per impression. But at the end of the day, there's only so many impressions out there. So Amazon, with the the data they have, they're giving preferential treatments to meritocracy of whoever is getting the most clicks and sales. So if you want to get down to a 25%, I would recommend, and this might sound counterintuitive, working on your click-through rate. Because if you can improve your click-through rate from, I think it was you that asked the question, going from like, let's say 0.4 to 0.7%, that's a 75% increase in clicks. Now, you might not, or let me phrase it this way. You will increase the number of clicks, but there's a good chance that you're not going to proportionally pay for 75% more clicks. You might not pay 75% more in total ad spend. You might actually get a discount because Amazon, I truly believe, their algorithm's looking at it from impressions. So from the search, we show it as an impression, or wherever location they're showing it. Let's just say from the search results page to getting a sale. What is the conversion rate for that? Not click, and then you've now got a session, and what percentage of your sessions end up in sales. I think they're looking at from impression to sale. And the easiest way to fix that is going to be your main image. So the more you can improve your main image, test out different main images, look at your competitors, maybe run a PickFu or product opinion poll, just asking people like, hey, which one would you click on and buy and why? And they'll tell you. And it could be maybe your product and one of your competitors that you think they have got a really good solid main image, and that'll give you some insight as to what people think. Now, of course, you're going to find wildly varied results that some people say it's because I like the purple. Other people say I hate the purple, or whatever it is. You're going to get conflicts or conflicting answers, but that's okay. It's just par for the course. But I would say at this point, if you're at 33% ACOS, I would protect your volume if that's 60% of your total sales is coming from that keyword, and 33% is healthy, unless you're telling me your margins are only 20%. But if you're saying your target is 25% ACOS, I would say that can improve over time. And the more sales you get, the more reviews you'll get, just somewhat organically. Because if you have, 100 sales or you get 50 sales, you're going to have a different number of reviews. And if that same thing happens over time, it just compounds. So I would definitely think of it as where you're at now. If 60% of your sales are coming from an ACOS at 33%, it's healthy. And I would say that's good. And it's probably also helping you get organic sales. Total sales, but ACOS. Yeah, it's ACOS. It's not tacos. So you may want to also look at your search query performance report and just see, for that same time period, what was your total sales? And that kind of gives you, it's not perfect, but at least it gives you a good insight into what your tacos is for that particular keyword. And you might find it's not 33%, it's 20%. So like your tacos is actually pretty good. Or you might find your tacos is 33% because all your sales are coming from ads. So it just depends. But if you are getting some progress organic, let it go. Let it keep going. Because if you take the foot off of the gas for that ad, there's a chance that you will also lose ranking and lose volume for your organic sales for that particular keyword. All right, we're running low on time. I'll do my best to answer as many questions as I can here. So we got Rao says, I have one question. If we optimize our listing, does that affect our PPC ranking? Potentially. I mean, at the end of the day, the algorithm does not care about your listing. The algorithm cares about is the customer voting with their wallet to purchase it. So if you're getting more clicks, more sales, you're converting more, you're going to have better PPC. You're going to show up higher. If you optimize and things go the wrong direction, then your PPC could go the wrong direction too, because maybe people aren't converting as high. So if you go from the same traffic, but from a 12% conversion rate to a 8% conversion rate, then theoretically your sales just went down by 33%. So just something to keep in mind is that nothing lives in a vacuum. All these things work together. So we like to say there's multiple pillars on Amazon. There's 4, but we kind of say now 5. So you got SEO, which is your organic, which would be like listing optimization, but that's also feeding into your paid ads performance. Catalog in the background, that's also going to have an effect, especially whether or not you have inventory. And then your design, which is also part of the listing optimization. So all that's working together. And we say the 5th one is actually click-through rate, which is your main image. So all those things are working together. And so, yes, they would affect your PPC ranking and performance, potentially for good, potentially not so good. So one of the things you may want to think about too is maybe instead of like, we're just going to revamp the entire listing, maybe you take one piece at a time and you say, we're going to revamp the secondary images. Then maybe you go to the A+ content once you've kind of established whether your secondary images are working or not. And then if the secondary images aren't working, then maybe you start tweaking like the order that they're in or which ones you show, because you might just find that your sales are coming from reasons other than the secondary images, or it's hard to pinpoint. But if you change everything, it's going to be very hard to know. Was it by bullets? Was it the A+ content? Was it secondary images? So the more you can refine that, the better off you'll be to be able to point out where you're at and what the challenges are. All right, so next up, Eric asks, do you have any recommendations for AI LLMs to create backend keywords? ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Nano Banana, etc. We're better off with Helium 10, Juggle Scout, both expensive. So, yeah, I mean, you could always start there. So, I mean, a couple things you could do with, if you wanted to use the AIs, is just type in the primary keyword and just see what recommended keywords are underneath it. Another thing you could do is take that primary keyword, space A, and just see like, you know, whatever, space 4, FOR, space B, space C. And you can just see like what other recommendations are there. And you could take screenshots of some of those and put it into your favorite LLM, and it could give you additional ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of. And then also take a look, and, you know, Amazon's going to give you recommendations, and usually those are pretty relevant. You might find more recommendations other places, but those would be some places to look. So that would be my recommendation there. So I think I can probably get to one more question here. Chris Enzai says, we recently launched a sponsored ads, manual campaign targeting, and manual product targeting. It's generating some sales. That's good news. But there's a but. We noticed that we aren't getting any new to brand customers. Should we be concerned? I'm not too familiar with Amazon's methodology of how they calculate that. I think a lot of that new to brand is really more a metric for higher up the ad funnel. Ads like sponsored display, sponsored, or, you know, DSP. But if you're talking about sponsored products, I mean, at the end of the day, they're probably all new to brand. So I wouldn't optimize for new to brand at this point. I don't think that's that is where you should focus your time. One of the analogies I like to give, it's actually a very tragic story, but there was an airliner that was going to land in Miami back in the 70s, and not too far from where I live, about an hour and a half south of here. And, you know, if you think about an airliner, pilot, they've got the cockpit and all these little things they're looking at, you know, altitude, airspeed, direction. I'm not a pilot. My wife got me one time a introductory pilot license, so I at least took off once. Anyway, I digress. There's so many things to think about. It's kind of like that with PPC or Amazon in general. There's all these things you're looking at. You got to focus on the fundamentals. So this tragic story was, there was like a light came on. There was like whether or not like the landing gear was down or something like that. And like at the time, there was like 3 pilots in the cockpit. All 3 of them were obsessed with this light and trying to figure out whether or not the landing gear was actually down. And they didn't notice they were losing altitude and they crashed. Terrible story. So you got to focus on all things, not just everybody focuses on one little detail. Everybody's got to focus on the big picture. So you got to focus on your big picture and all the little details going around. And sometimes new to brand might be like that little light. So focus on the big picture and keep focusing on everything else. So if you're profitable, I wouldn't worry about the new to brand one just yet, unless you're a supplement and you're doing more up the funnel strategies, like more awareness and consideration than sponsored products, which is they're just ready to buy. So those would be my piece of advice. So with that, thank you, everybody. Why So Cute says, thanks for your help. It's my pleasure. Sahil Malani said hello. Well, hello to you as well. Rao Common says amazing. So, all right. So everybody hopefully learned a lot. So hopefully we learned from each other's questions. And with that, I wish you an amazing day and take care.